Hey everyone, cold brew here today. Not drinking a cold brew, it's just water. It's too hot outside. But yeah, today we're gonna be talking about the rares that will be needed for the Doomtower. So guys, if you've seen the Doomtower video that Raid posted, so it was basically a video talking about all the upcoming changes and content that's coming to the game. We don't know the exact date that content is coming to the game, but for sure we should be expecting that at least the Doomtower will come by hopefully the end of November, beginning of December 2020. So in a part of the video, the developers Raid Platinum said that rares will be needed to beat the Doomtower as a specific side tower stage, and in that stage an example was given that all rares will be needed, so a team of at least 5 rares. We didn't get specifics of non-void or if no duplicates are allowed, but for this video guys, I'm going to talk about all the rares that are going to be very useful for just beating those specific tower stages. We don't know if it's going to be just the first stage, so maybe a level 40, level 50 team of rares will do, but I'm just going to assume it's going to be all the way up to the hardest difficulty, so you'll need at least 5 level 60 rares, and of course you're going to need to spend your resources wisely in developing those. So enough with the talk, let's go in immediately to the banner lords and see who's the best rare out of this faction. So not many rares that draw my attention right here. There is Valerie, who's a support farmable champion. She's got a very nice way to shield your allies with a shield buff on for 2 turns. The value of this shield depends on this champion's level, heals each ally according to the number of buffs they're currently under. So depending on what other champions you're going to have with her, she'll be able to shield them and also heal them with this skill. And she also has a way to increase the duration of buffs. So for example, an increased defense buff, a speed buff will be the best things to protect you from enemy hits. And of course, an increased attack buff will also, just benefit with the just killing the enemies. She also has a way to decrease the duration of all debuffs on all allies by 1 turn. So it's a way of a cleanse, but not really a cleanse. So she will be a great support if you need someone who is specifically just for support. But let's go for the best support ever, and it's going to be in the high elves. You guys know it already, and you should have at least one of them already at 60. It's going to be Apothecary. So Apothecary, you all guys know that Apothecary has a great heal with his A2, goes down to 2 turns cooldown when this is fully maxed out, and it's a great heal. Heals a target ally by 35% of HP. This heal can be critical, so an Apothecary with some critical rate either on the primary on his gloves or as a substat overall throughout his sets means that Apothecary will be just a fantastic support. Not only that guys, he has a great base speed, and he can also boost speed with his A3 with his 3rd default skill. So fills the terminator of all allies by 15% and also places an increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns. Fantastic skill, goes down to 3 turns when fully maxed out. And not only that, he also has a defense aura for dungeons, so he's not going to be only useful for the Doomtower. He's basically used everywhere guys. I've seen him in clan boss teams, I've seen him in dungeon, arena, everywhere. He's definitely worth the effort. So I'll be doing one by one all the factions that I think at least one of them is needed, just in case there's limitations. For example, one of each faction, there might be those kind of limitations, so I expect anything from Platinum. Let's go. Next one, I think Mother Superior will be a great support from the Sacred Order. She's a rare support champion. She has a way to heal allies by based on this champion's max HP, and also places shield buff equal to any surplus heal for 2 turns if this target is fully healed by the skill. So fantastic way to heal someone. 3 turns cooldown, not too long, not too short, and also provides a shield. And then also she has a way to apply continuous heals and another shield on allies. She has a nice aura with speed, and her A1 can also decrease attack. So again, another great support. Next up guys, it's gonna be Barbarians. Let's go down the list. So this list is a bit difficult if I'm gonna spot out one single champion, so I'll tell you guys about a few of those which can be useful, but in my opinion the best one is Soulborn Boyar. Soulborn Boyar, the reason she will be in my opinion one of the best ones to have is because she has a different set of skills than all other champions in the rare category. She has an AoE A1, which means you can place a stun set on her and she'll be trying to do a stun on each and every one of the enemies every single time she hits with her default skill, her A1. Her A2 has a very nice ignore 75% of the target's defense, so this will be a hard-hitting nuke for a rare. And then she also has an A3 that can fully deplete the target's turn meter, so single target fully depletion of turn meter can be very good for manipulating waves, manipulating bosses if they can have their turn meter manipulated. So she is fantastic, very similar to Coldheart, and overall all of her skills have that additional 25% chance of inflicting a critical hit, so you'll be needing much less gear to gear up Soulbond as a nuker. Much easier to focus on critical damage instead of getting critical rate on every single piece of item that you equip on her. She also has a great critical rate aura in case you need that additional critical rate to reach 100%. So in my opinion, she's the best one out of the Barbarians faction, but there's some other champions in there that might be useful for specific stages that might have other specific requirements. So let's go over and see Marked. Marked is another one that might be very useful. Let's look at her A1. She can apply a decreased defense, 30% decreased defense, so the smaller version. Her A2 is an AoE that decreases accuracy, not that great. But her A3, look at this guys, a 3-turn cooldown, blocks debuffs, buff on all allies for 1 turn, so very useful for manipulating those debuffer enemies. And a 60% increased defense on all allies for 2 turns, very good. At a 3 turns cooldown, guys, getting a 60% increased defense means your survivability will just skyrocket just by using Marked throughout. And with some good masteries, you can even extend this, and you can have potentially an increased defense buff throughout the fight. She also has a nice aura for faction creeps in case you want to use her somewhere else as well. So let's go over. I'm not gonna skip War Maiden because I do believe that War Maiden, although she does have that AoE defense down, a brute force in taking down those stages might not be the way to go. So decreased defense will give you just faster times, in my opinion. But unless there's timed duration for beating those stages, then a defense down will not be needed. So she is not priority in taking to 60. Let's quickly go to Ogryn Tribes. This is the #1 champion in there, guys. Bellower. He is accessible only through a Void Shard. So a Void Shard is very hard to get. You get few and very hard to get, mostly from the clan boss and maybe through some easier events. So Bellower is one of those rewards from a Void Shard. He has an AoE in all of his skills and applies all different kinds of debuffs with all of his skills, ranging from block cooldown skills, decreased speed, decreased attack, and decreased defense on each and every one of those. Of course, it's the weaker version, but still it's something, and it's from a rare. He has a very good speed, very good attack for a support type champion, and overall I think he is way worth it for your team. He can be used in all other areas of the game, specifically farming, brutal, dungeons. You can use him in the arena if you're just a beginner. You can use him for faction wars. He's an overall great champion to have at 60, and he's definitely worth it for the Doomtower, I think. So we've done already 5 factions so far. Lizardman is another one that does not have a really good champion in there, but one of them that's cool and it's Void is called Haruspex. The reason why he's so good is because he has a revive. Very few rares have a revive, and he can be very useful in the faction wars as well. So having a Lizardman champion that does have a revive is also so great for your team. He fills the turn meter by 30% once he revives them, but he also has an overall boost of turn meter with his A2 at a 3 turns cooldown, and also provides an increased speed buff on all allies. So overall, a very good champion in case you need a revive and you're looking for a specific champion. But if you don't have that many voids, then Buckwalker is also another great champion. He has a way to apply the strong version of the decreased attack debuff, so enemies will be hitting much less. And then he also has a way to increase defense on all allies, but that's the weaker version of increased defense, so 30% only. And he also applies a reflect damage on all allies for 1 turn when attacked with a critical hit. So a very nice passive, and also an additional all ally HP in dungeons aura. Let's go over to the next one, Skinwalkers. Skinwalkers is a bit more tough to have. I think overall the best one will be Gnarlhorn. Gnarlhorn, in my opinion, he's a very cool champion because of his skills. He has just an A1 that very basic, just attacks. This attack cannot be strong, critical, or a weak hit, whatever. But his A2, look at this, guys. Plays a provoke debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. Fantastic way to control them. Plays a 30% increased defense buff on this champion for 2 turns. So he applies provoke, and then he makes himself way tougher to beat. And then he can also place an unkillable buff on himself for 2 turns. 3 turns cooldown. So potentially with enough speed, you can rotate this throughout the fight and be able to survive with Narholm there, just tanking all the hits. It should be amazing, unless the enemies have a way to remove buffs. He also has a very strong all ally defense in dungeons by 27%. I do have one video with him actually tanking Spider 20. Next up, guys, we're gonna look at the orcs. The orcs, again, do not have a very strong champion in there. I could go in and say about veteran. Veteran has a very nice A1 that applies the stronger version of decreased attack. He also applies a critical rate buff on all allies and a block buffs debuff on enemies, which can be very useful in specific waves. But of course, he's void, so I want to showcase another champion that might be useful in there, and it's gonna be Ironclad. Ironclad has a very weird skill set. He has a way to remove 1 random debuff from all allies, so that's a way to cleanse your allies. He attacks one enemy and can apply the heal reduction debuff. But he also has this skill with, when healed, will attack all enemies, inflicting damage proportional to any surplus heal. So he can be useful. Not a recommendation to take him, but overall for orcs, I think he's very cool. There's some other champions in there that do provide some utility, but just looking at the orcs faction, I just think veteran's the best one. And I just wanted also to showcase another one that's non-void. So let's go to the next faction, guys. Demon Spawn. Demon Spawn, again, we're gonna look at one non-void farmable rare, and it's gonna be Diabolus. She's farmable from stage 12 of the campaign. She has a small chance to apply a sleep debuff on her A1, and her A2 attacks all enemies, plays a 30% increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns. So a great way to increase the speed of all your allies, not boost them, but applies the increased speed buff. And then she also has a way to boost your team's turn meter and decrease the enemy's turn meter. So it's like having a Lysandra, but not really, because this one's a rare. She's very easy to get, farmable from the campaign, and look at that base speed, guys, 110 base speed. So you know you can get her fast with those speed sets. Next up is going to be a void from this Demon Spawn faction. Is going to be Fellhound. Fellhound is great for multiple reasons. He can just be equipped with a stun set, and his A1 will be stunning enemies, hopefully all the time. His A2 has a way to heal your allies and apply a reflect damage buff on all allies, and he also has a way to apply a block damage buff. So overall, I think he's the best one out of the Demon Spawn faction, but again, he's void, so might not be, you know, very easy for you guys to get overall. But be on the lookout when you're opening void shards. Look at those rare that you get. Some of them might be really good. Undead Hordes, guys. There's a ton of champions here. Again, I'm gonna be talking about one void and one common champion. Well, not common, but you can get her out of a mystery shard and not a void shard. So Frozen Banshee, she is the queen of poisoners right now in terms of accessibility in the game. She has a great A1 that does apply the stronger version of poisons when poison sensitivity is on the enemies. She has a way to boost turn meter for all allies, and of course poison sensitivity just does a ton of more damage to the enemy when this is applied. She also has a way to apply an increased accuracy in all battles. So if you're looking for a poisoner, then Frozen Banshee will definitely do the job. So for void champions, it's gonna be Seducer, and on a very close second is going to be Doomscreech, but overall I think Seducer is the best one. The reason is he has multiple ways to control enemies. He has a sleep debuff on his A1. He has a decreased attack on his A2, and it's an AoE, so you can even put a stun set if you want on him. Then he also has a way to increase defense buff on all allies for 2 turns and a block debuff buff on all allies for 2 turns. Fantastic way to just control how much damage is getting your allies are getting, and how many debuffs they're getting, because this block debuffs is for 2 turns. It's very rare to have a block debuffs for 2 turns, especially out of a rare champion. And if you do happen to have Temptress also, in the same team, then he gains an additional utility of ally protection and block damage buff. He also has an all ally HP in all battles by 25%. So if you want a good aura, then the Seducer will definitely do the job. So overall, we're seeing that voids are much stronger than the regular ones, but I'm also trying to give you guys some alternatives in case of not just having only void champions in the Doomtower stage. So here, guys, we're looking at, again, some void champions that can be great. Of course, we have Kale, who will be the best one out of the started champions in terms of using him. You probably have him already at 60 if you did happen to get him. You probably already have him at 60. He can apply some poisons with his A1 AoE that does fill his turn meter by 25% per kill, and a way to apply stronger version of debuffs with his A3. It's a 4-hitting attack that has a good chance to apply poison debuffs. He also has a 15% aura for HP. Next up, guys, we're gonna look at, of course, Cold Heart. Cold Heart has that amazing skill that does deplete the target turn meter by 100%, but also she has damage based on enemy max HP. So those very high HP targets will definitely go down with a Cold Heart in your team. She can apply poisons, and she can also apply heal reduction. So again, voids are king in terms of rares, and also Paragon in case we need to cheese the win. Cheese for the win. That A2, when it's on a 2 turns cooldown, it can just go on forever. Night Revenant, guys. Night Revenant does not have many rares that are useful, but it does have some rares that are very accessible to us. So Coffin Smasher was a reward. If I'm not mistaken, he was a reward from the Battle Pass. I might be mistaken here. Anyway, guys, you can get him from a mystery shard if you're lucky. Ancient shards for sure. He applies a strong version of decreased attack with his A1. He has an HP burn, which is basically a stronger version of a poison. Only 1 HP burn per target. And then he has a way to decrease the damage enemies inflict with AoE attacks by 5%. So an amazing skill to have in your arsenal in terms of reducing damage inflicted to you. Then we also have Renegade in case we need to use cooldown reduction for some reason you need cooldown reduction. Renegade is queen. She has a way to reduce cooldowns by 2 turns. This is a 5-turn cooldown, so this is very specific for very specific cases that you're gonna need Renegade. I don't think that the Doomtower will require her, but in case you have a specific combo in mind, then Renegade might be the key in there. And finally, guys, we're gonna look at the Dwarves faction. Dwarves, again, do not have that many strong champions. There are some champions that I do find that are good, but not amazing. So Runic Warder is one of them. He has a very basic A1. His A2 can apply the 50% decrease attack debuff for 2 turns. And then his A3 has a reflect damage buff application to all your allies and a 7.5% continuous heal. So this is the weak version of a heal. It's not the 15% version. So a great heal, but overall, I think there's other champions available through just picking out rares that can be used for dungeons. And of course, there is Bulwark in case you need some more HP burns, and also the application of a small version of weaken, so 15% weaken, and the chance to extend debuffs when he gets hit. So overall, these are the champions that I do think will be the most useful in the Doomtower. Of course, by then, these 3 new slots might be opened, and we're gonna have possibly 3 new factions to play with, a ton more champions to play around with, and of course, you know, the possibility of using more rares, maybe uncommons, possibly for the Doomtower in the specific stages that are needed. So, guys, thanks a lot for watching this video. If you watched this far, if there are some other rares that you think I should take a second look at, leave it down in the comments below. Of course, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. See you guys.